Hi guys! Sorry, it's been a while. It's been more than a while, so I apologise. Things have been getting in the way, it's been busy, and sometimes I just don't feel like putting my face on the internet, so apologies for that. We've also gone landscape. I'll tell you why, it's because I need to be hands-free for this one. Exciting stuff coming up, bit of an update for you. Few people will have been on my tour recently. I did a bit of a ghost walk around some of the city of London, and some of them people that have been on that will be aware of what I'm about to talk to you about, but those of you that weren't, this will be new to you, so bear with me. So recently, my latest ghost adventures, there's been a couple of them, fairly minor, nothing massive, but some things of note that you might want to hear about. So the first one was travelling up to the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham a few weeks ago. I didn't have much sort of equipment or anything on me to do any proper ghost hunting, but what I did have was my phone. So I used the voice memo to just record. So I was sticking this in closed cells, and there's a whole kind of oubliette type thing, like just like a horrible hole in the ground that you can put people in. It's really like dark and dank and horrible. So I stuck my recorder in there and did like sort of a minute recording. See what I got. I did that a couple of times around the place. I think I made a total of about 8 recordings, 2 of which picked up strange activity that I couldn't explain. The first one was put in the confinement cell, which is a really dark, dank, horrible, nasty place to be. I didn't hear anything apart from a really creepy breath, like in the penultimate second before I turned the video off, and I can assure you it wasn't me. I don't bring the phone back to my face to turn it off. I actually go my hand to the phone so that I make sure that I don't breathe in or anything like that. So the breath, it was really creepy. It was like a horrible, nasty thing. So that was the first one. And then the second one was, I actually only heard this a couple of days later when I was at home, and I was listening back to all the recordings just to make sure there was nothing else on there that I had missed. If you do voice recordings on your phone, it's actually quite hard to kind of listen back to because it's really difficult to hear. And there were obviously background noises going on in the museum at the time, so there are things you can hear in the background that I knew weren't paranormal as I was recording it at the time. So listening back, I actually heard a woman singing in the background. Now you can hear it just as a sort of, you actually hear the kind of melody more than anything else. She sort of sings this bit where she sort of sings really quite high pitch and it's quite melodic, and that's the bit that you can really hear, and then you start to hear more after that point. Now annoyingly, both of these things were, like I say, voice memos on my phone, and I can't for the life of me figure out a way of getting them online or on the internet. When I actually play them back on my laptop, they're so quiet you can't hear anything at all. I don't know a way of making it better or bigger or louder or anything like that. I'm afraid I'm an old soul. I'm not used to 21st century technology, so I just fail at the first hurdle, I'm afraid. So apologies for that. People that know me and have been with me and my phone have heard them, and do agree that they're odd and creepy, and they are there. But yeah, so quite interesting things at the Galleries of Justice. I also got one picture of an orb. Got a really weird vibe from this corridor. Not particularly dark or dangerous or nasty, creepy kind of corridor, but just poked my head around it and thought, ooh, don't like that. So I immediately just took a picture, and in the picture you can see this orb pops up. So I've just downloaded everything off my phone today, so what I might do is I'll pop the orb picture up on Facebook. I can't manage the audio, sorry, so you might just get the orb bit, but yeah, there we go. Anyway, so that was the first thing that happened. So Galleries of Justice at Nottingham. If you're around or local or you're in Nottingham visiting, go and pay them a visit. It's really, really good. They offer really good deals on entry fees as well, so you can get a really good discount if you want to visit more than once as well. But it's a great exhibition. I thought the tours were excellent. They had people in costume or sort of in characters as they were, which sometimes can be a bit hokey, depending on where you go and what kind of quality and calibre you're getting. But it was really good. It was sort of a series of guides sort of taking us around the different periods of the prison, which was really fascinating. So, thumbs up for Galleries of Justice. lots to see, good historical stuff, and ghosts. Yay! Next, paranormal walks. So this is my latest thing. I'm a City of London tour guide, but I don't do a lot of it because there's a lot of City of London tour guides out there, and quite frankly, most of the stuff that people talk about, I'm not like, I specialise in the 18th century and the 17th century, I suppose, a little bit, but it's a very limited period in London history, so I sort of only do really specific tours at specific times of year. I do a Great Fire of London one, and a couple of 18th century talks and things like that, but that's it. So I thought I'll put together a paranormal, oh, and I've done Halloween stuff, of course, obviously. So I thought I'd put together a tour that was kind of a little bit paranormal, a little bit historic, a little bit of everything for everybody, and just sort of evolve it from there and see what people wanted and see what people liked and what they enjoyed. So the first one of those was held the day before Halloween. It was on a Sunday night. I chose to do it on a Sunday night rather than Halloween itself because the city is, quite frankly, much quieter on a Sunday night. If you're doing any kind of ghost hunting or anything like that during the week, you're going to get disturbed by business people. Let's be politically correct here. Business people, and cars and taxis and life and London and noise. So it's really hard to investigate in those in that scenario. So I wanted to do it on a Sunday night because most of the time, after sort of 6 or 7ish, most people have kind of left the city, the tourists have gone back to hotels or wherever they're from, and it's very, very quiet, so I thought, perfect time. So we did a couple of hours walking around St Paul's towards Smithfield, and then we did kind of Newgate, which is the Old Bailey, but because I live in the 18th century, it's called Newgate. So we walked sort of around there. It was actually very, very small area, but we spent quite a lot of time in each stop. They are based on historical ghost stories that are well versed. You can read any book on haunted London, ghost walks of London, anything like that. They will have these things in them. They will give you certain ghost stories that you can kind of tell or look up or whatever and enjoy while you're there, while you're on a tour. But most of them are actually dated for before the war, so a lot of it's changed now, and I find a lot of the old ghost stories particularly irrelevant, actually. A lot of the activity that I've had in the city is in other places. It's very different to the stuff that's recorded in the books, so that's why I sort of do my own thing a little bit. And also then you're getting more of a sort of distinct, my appreciation of the city, and a little bit more than what you would get in the books, basically. So yes, did a tour, did this area, took a little group round. It was about 10 people, so perfect kind of size to try out a new tour and a new way of doing touring, I suppose. So there's a bit of history, focused on the history of some of the sites, talking about what went on there over the sort of 1,000 years, whatever. And then we did some ghost hunting. Hooray! So what we did is we used things that I've used in the past, which is quite simply my phone and my senses. So we did a lot of voice recordings, we did a lot of photographs, and we did a lot of sort of standing about. Now, something we did have with us, and this is one of my 2 recent paranormal purchases, is this thing here. This is known as a K2 meter, and it records electromagnetic fluctuations with this little light here. So green is like it's on, there are batteries in it, it's doing a thing, but it fluctuates. My house is not haunted in any way, shape or form, so there should never be any real fluctuation on here. Occasionally if you put it near like a phone, see they did just flash there. That's because the phone is giving out signals, because it's on, it's doing something, it's trying to connect to the internet, all that stuff. So that gives out signals. But when you've also got this out and about or outside or somewhere where there's no electricity, no power cables, no lights, and you're getting fluctuations on here, you've got to ask, where are those coming from? Because this is electromagnetic energy. And some people think that ghosts use that to form, to exist, to happen. So we use this to try and pick up any weird spikes that might be in the area, and therefore we can investigate. So we took this with us, and we used it in an area around Smithfield, and we actually got a significant number of spikes. Now this was in an area where there was no power cables, there was no, I checked fully, and it was actually on a grass area, so there was nothing kind of underneath. It's actually a very, very quiet area within the city, so I picked that out specifically. I checked around, there's no overhead lights, there's no overhead cabling, and we were getting like spikes up here consistently. It was sort of coming and going and then disappearing for a while, so you knew it wasn't a cable. If it's something electric in the ground or something, you'll get like a consistent here, and it won't kind of go up any further, and it certainly won't spike. It won't like go up here and then disappear again. So we used that to kind of search out hotspots, I suppose, and we did find one, interestingly, and quite literally, using the correct term, literally a hotspot, because when we actually put our hands out, we felt the air changing. It got very, very warm. We all felt it, the group of 10. Now, I'd like to say that some of them were, like me, believers. They've had their own experiences. I'm not trying to convince them of anything, so they were just kind of along for the ride. But we had some good skeptics with us as well, and they came and felt the air, and they could confirm that it was warmer than the air next to us. Now, obviously, like I say, it was the end of October. It was a couple of weeks ago. So it was cold. It's not warm. So the fact that we got that hotspot in the air was a great thing. So I thought, gotta go back. So, credit card, I have to admit, I bought this little bad boy. So exciting. Now, if any of you watch any ghost shows, you might recognise what this thing is. This is an SB7 spirit box. This is what they use on things like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. It's a thing that goes and you get little voices coming through. This is one of those, and you turn it on, and I can show you now if you want. You turn it on, and it sweeps through. You can see there, like I said, there's nothing here, so it shouldn't really pick up anything other than the occasional radio thing. I'm going to turn it off because it's annoying. But yeah, so it sweeps through radio waves, and apparently spirits can talk through it. But it's one of the best things to try out and about. You can just kind of do it and away you go. So it just scans through radio frequencies. It pops up here and it scans through at a fast rate, which is what you're hearing. That each one of those is a point in the radio, and the spirits can supposedly communicate through it. Now, I do think a lot of it is radio, because you get radio stuff, you get music coming through, you get all sorts, but occasionally you get odd words, that kind of stuff. Now, like I say, we returned back to Smithfield with this device, and a couple of the people that came on the tour with me to try it out. Now, I was actually originally in Greenwich on my way to the city to meet my little tour group, and I thought, what the hell? I'm in Greenwich. I've got to turn it on. Actually, I'm not going to lie. For that day, I pretty much had it on and to my ear for like the whole day, just seeing who was about. But yeah, so I walked through Greenwich, the Naval College, and it was, this was kind of like 6:30-ish, so there were people around, but it was pretty quiet, and it was certainly like dark, and if you go through the Naval College at night, it's quite kind of closed off. There aren't people, it's not a thoroughfare. So we're walking through, and I thought, well, I'll turn it on, knowing at home I hadn't had any really good responses other than the occasional bit coming through, but nothing that could be, proper talking. So we turned it on in Greenwich, and we got straight away just voices coming through. Hello, can you hear me? All this stuff. Really loud male voices, which was amazing. First off, it was like, yay, it works. So we wandered through Greenwich, and obviously I went to the city, turned it back on, back where we were. And it seemed that whoever had come, that we'd picked up in Greenwich, seemed to have jumped on the Underground with us, travelled to St Paul's, and had popped out and had come out on the spirit box. So, yeah, we kept getting this guy called Michael. So he kept saying his name, he kept talking to us. At the beginning, he was like, yeah, I can hear you. And at the end, when I sort of closed the session and asked him to not follow anybody home and to kind of either go back to Greenwich or sort of find peace or whatever, I did all that. And I was I have a kind of, I don't know, I think a sort of maternal, motherly vibe where I sound like my mum a lot of the time. And I think I probably did that. So I was a bit sort of slightly naggy, I don't know. But right at the end, he was like, I hear ya, and then just cut off. So I thought it was quite fitting, which was odd. And a lot of other people heard that too. It wasn't just me. There were about 6 of us around. So we all heard that as well. So really, really interesting. And it seemed to sort of, his brash loudness seemed to chase away all the other spirits. And funnily enough, every time I tried to record it with my voice memo thing, which not like it would make any difference because I can't get it off my damn phone, but I couldn't record it. Every time I went to record it, it went quiet. And again, the people that were on the tour, they can verify this. I was trying to record it for you guys, but was getting absolutely nothing. Every time I held it to it, it would cut off and there would be no sound, there would be no voices coming through at all. So in the end, I just stopped recording and we just enjoyed it in the moment, as it were. I did ask again this morning why every time I try and record it, the voices seem to disappear, and is there something about them not wanting to be recorded or something like that. And the only voice I got through, I got this man who's the only voice I seem to get at home. Now that might be, I don't know whether it's like I don't believe in guardian angels or anything like that, but whether it's someone that's just around or a radio station and I'm picking up the same voice, I don't know. But he was the only one, he's the only guy the only voice, sorry, that comes through when I'm at home. And he came through and he just said wall, which was odd. That's the only thing he said wall. And I recorded it. I recorded him saying it, but it's the only thing he said, and it was after I asked why I couldn't record them. So I don't know if the phone creates a wall of static, or I don't know, I'm just making stuff up now. But who knows? So there you go, so that's my little update, and exciting times ahead, people. So we should play some more, we'll take them out again. Kind of addicted. So we'll take them out again and we'll try. I'm going to run tours probably the last Sunday of every month, so I'll let you know when those all come up. But otherwise, yeah, I'll speak to you soon.